All right, hello and welcome. Thank you for listening to my latest track. I released technically May 31st last night, but then I had to re-upload it like 3 a.m. Last night, which was, well, before 3 a.m. last night, which technically is still May 31st on the West Coast. I just wanted to get something out in May, but technically it was today that it got out. So that is Azure, my new single, track. And how it's going to be is it's this track I'm going to upload in the next 2 or so months, 2 other single tracks that are more desert themed. I think Azure can work really well with a desert themed compilation of music. And then I will definitely want to do a CD, like a physical CD, and also digital album of 2 more tracks that I will release with the release of the album, including Azure. So about five. I'm thinking 5 tracks for this album that is more or less desert themed, and then hopefully another 4 track EP. That's the goal. So that is an upbeat electronic or electronica track. It was a very simple, I chose a very simple cover. I like it. I like simple. It's a simple blue. It's got a hint of a beautiful blue sky, maybe in a desert. I don't know, but it's supposed to sound happy. And you can download it for $1 or more, depending on your choice of donation, over at my website. I just realized I haven't shared my website yet. Or you can join my mailing list. You can see up there on the first page. And get it for free, because I'll keep it up for a little bit. There we go. Okay, let's stop sharing, and there I am. And then so that was my, yeah, I worked right to the deadline. I gave myself no more, like I told you guys last week that I want to be at least 90% proud of my stuff. So I was like, I'm like 93, 94, maybe 95% proud of that track. I'm very happy to release it to you and hopefully get it on a 5 track longer form CD CD album within the next, getting into the fall. So, or well, maybe winter. I don't know. These things take a long time. Even single tracks take a long, long time. And let's see what the video looks like. Good. Hopefully audio is just normal speaking. Audio sounds good. Audio sounds great. Good. To my wonderful prof and channel member, Imaginaria is giving me my blue heart. Good. Or that's a peace sign. There's that heart. So yeah. Everything looks good. Everything sounds good. Let's go back up to the chat and welcome you guys. We've got Professor Geek, my channel member, because we're going to be talking about AI, of course. People might just think, oh, again, you're talking about AI again. And it's like, guys, if there's anything, it's this. It's like, this is the hill I will die on. Is that how the phrase goes? AI is, or battling rather against AI, is the hill I die on. It just is. And I hope it goes away. Like, I'll talk about some theories I have after talking about some shenanigans I also have seen. And then I'll talk about how we can protect our art. Now, I'll talk about more the music side of things, but I think it's comparable. I think you can draw parallels with what I will plan to do with my music. I'm sure there's parallels with writing or well, writing might be actually hard, but maybe your visual art, and you visual artists out there, I think there's a way we can protect our art. I have something in my throat. 1 second. Let me mute myself real quick. All right. We've got Private Eye in. Good to see you in the chat. Big Al Presents says, stop harassing me in your title. AI, more owl shenanigans, lol. Have a great stream, Sound Engraver. I forgot to tell you guys last week when I was reading to you, or when I was telling you about my reading experience of a supposed, we're speculating that the book that I had read, the novel I had read, was AI assisted. It's funny because the AI character, the main AI character in that book, is called Al, because the protagonist is saying, well, Al looks like AI, so I'll just call you Al. So I think, yeah, anyway, I guess if I had an AI friend, I would call him Al. But I already have a friend, a real friend. Imaginaria, good to see you. Ace Moic was the first to comment on my Sound Engraver Records channel. I uploaded it. I uploaded Azure, and then like the last hour after midnight, I tweaked it and I tightened up the sound, and so I re-uploaded it. So hopefully I didn't cause too much confusion. I think there were only like a few views when I re-uploaded it, so we'll see. So sorry about the confusion, Ace. You can delete that other video if you liked it. Good to see you, Amiel. Thank you. You're excited about the release. Yeah, it's on my website, just for $1 or however you feel like you can donate it or you want to donate. I typically, unless it's like if I did a really comprehensive, like really big track of 9 or 10 minutes longer, but it needed to be that length or even longer, then I'd probably do $2 because it's so comprehensive. Like if a track, there are artists out there, old and new, they'll put like one giant, track that's like 58 minutes long and it works like a complete album. Then it would be more than $1, but for now, yeah, it is $1 or however you prefer to pay, because I leave the donation to you. Professor Geek is thanking Ace for the Superman books. They do look good quality. George Bear's like, play that funky music, white. And then it's like, it's girl instead of boy. So when Prof first heard the track Azure, he's like, it's so 80s. Like, especially in the middle part where the violin synthesized, well, it's not synthesized violin. It's my violin that I put a lot in to, like, as far as effects. I even doubled it. I doubled it with like a recorder synth. That's why it has kind of that weird sound to it, or a different sound. But he's like, so 80s, especially the middle part. And I'm like, I can't help it. And he's like, yeah, don't help it. You should keep doing that. There's a lot of 80s influence there, that is for sure, because it's synths. I can't help it. But it doesn't have to sound completely, retro wave or synth wave or whatever, even though I love that genre a lot. All right. Dig Outlaws here. Oh, Final Fantasy is also here. Good afternoon. Good to see you. We've got so George Barrett, if I didn't say hi, hello. And yeah, thank you. This work is worth posting up. Thanks for prioritizing us with an ear taste. A taste for good sound. Well, that's good. Thank you. I'm trying to be less and less of a perfectionist and just trying to get things out there that I know at least will resonate somehow. So that's good. Thank you. So Azure will be the first of 3 singles that I release. And the next one is called Desert Solace. It just took longer. I need to re-record the violin. And the mix is a little harder than I anticipated. So that's gonna be second, and I think that's Prof's favorite. I think the original, before I mixed stuff, like the bass sounded so good, and I think I messed with it. I gotta get back to that good bass sound. I think I was messing with it too much, and I lost that really heavy, big bass sound. But oh well, it'll come back one way or another. Thank you, my wonderful Prof. Looking clear and as beautiful as always. Thank you, Crystal Ashes, for coming. You just missed 7 minutes of my new track. We're going to talk about AI, so you haven't missed the AI part. We're going to talk about more AI shenanigans. And it is, I hate to use this phrase, but AI really is the gift that keeps on giving because it's still relatively new. I know there have been predecessors of AI and things we see as services that were the precursor to what we see as machine learning AI. But anyway, we'll talk about more stuff because it's so important to talk about. And I think the reason why I talk about AI so much is it's an ethical issue. It's a moral issue, and there will be consequences. So hopefully I'm not too close to the mic. Let me know if I'm peaking or if the mic is getting too hot. I see the green. It's not blaring red, but this is the microphone is closer to me. I'd like to see if I can keep a closer sound. But all right, let me grab some water and get into the AI shenanigans. Ghost Planet's already mentioning Google. I'm not going to mention Google with the stuff that I have in mind, but well, Facebook I'm definitely going to mention. Thank you. Audio is fine. Good. Okay. But yeah, Google and Facebook, and it's gotten so bad. Oh, going off on my phone speaker. Yeah, it always sounds quiet on my phone, but my phone probably just sounds quiet. Good. Good. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Let me grab some water and get right into it. Okay, so I have like three stories, and I mean, there are way more stories. And here's the thing: I wanted to. These stories come from articles that I happen upon, like 3:30 in the morning before I go to bed because I'm hopelessly nocturnal. And the strange thing about it, and maybe this is your experience too, but I can't seem to find articles after I've read it and after I leave the article after I close the browser, put my phone down. Yeah, obviously it's in the history. It's in your browser history. But let's say you come back to it three days later and you're like, I think I know what the headline is. So I'm basically saying any stories may sound familiar, or maybe you've seen the headline yourself, but the first story, the first bit of shenanigans is not really shenanigans as much as it's kind of funny. But do you guys remember, if you guys are as old as I never really listened to her music, but I knew she was around, especially about 15 or so years ago. Especially when I was coming of age. I didn't realize this, but she's my age. She's 38 years old. And she has been facing backlash that has to do with AI. This had nothing to do with AI. At first, I did think this was the case. She has nothing. It has nothing to do with her using AI to make music. But I did realize, reading the story further and listening to some commentary on YouTube, it had to do with cover art. I think she released a single track recently called Delusional. And I think, based on what I heard on some commentators, some legal commentators in the music scene, they were saying that Delusional is about how we see our reality now and how we are becoming we're coming into a stupor, like a cerebral stupor, kind of accepting things as they are, with the things of the rising of AI technology. And I think her song Delusional more or less is addressing this issue. And so I don't think her music has any AI in it, but her cover art was AI generated, and she did it herself. And she faced some backlash from her fans. Now, if she's 38, that means when she was really, really popular, her fans were listening to her like they would listen to a CD, they would listen to her on the radio, maybe they would see a music video of hers, whatever the case is. But they are older. They are an older fan base. They're my age, maybe younger, maybe older, depending. And I think the older generation is still very much against the AI. Some people are speculating that the very young generation couldn't care less. That could be the case, but I don't know. Um, and I would think that someone with already a really big following would be a little bit more scrupulous, if I said that word correctly, a little bit more aware to say, I have an older fan base. Maybe they want to appreciate this. Again, I don't think the AI had anything to do with her music. It was her cover art. Now, especially if you are famous, if you still have a huge following from, a 20-year longer music career like Kesha had, or someone like NSYNC, if they came back or whatever, those pop artists that were really popular 15 or 20 years ago, you have the money, you have the resources to pay a legit artist to do your cover art. I do my own cover art, and sure, I use Canva. I don't know how much Canva itself scrapes AI imagery. I really hope not a lot. I pay for what I have. Like I use pro services. if Canva really got out of hand, then I would try to think to do some other service, or even to the point where I would just go to Fiverr and say, hey, can you just whip out a really simple album cover? But for now, I just use Canva for my cover art. But someone like Kesha, she can get award-winning photographers, she can get inkers, painters, she can get anything she wants for her cover art. Now, I think she was using that AI assisted cover art with that social commentary that this is what AI is doing to us. I think she was giving a negative commentary on AI, and still ironically, she got backlash for using AI, even if it was a negative connotation, even if it was something that she was against. She's like, this is what was like, and people maybe just say, hey, why'd you bother doing the AI assisted? So that was the first story that I happened upon this last week. Especially, you know, one could argue like if you're an independent artist and you don't have a huge following, or you don't make a lot of money on your music or your art, and you're doing all the music yourself, and then you just need to find something really quick for your art cover or your book cover. That can be an honest debate. I'm definitely a little more lenient when it's a medium or an art form that you don't do, but I would still prefer that you pay a license or you hire someone off of Fiverr if you can help it. Um, but if for someone like Kesha, if she was using AI technology to assist with her music making, she would have gotten even more backlash. But as it were, I think it was just a cover art for her newly released single. So I thought that was kind of funny. Um, even going against AI with your own strong opinions against AI, and you use AI to make a point, at least for the older generation, it does not fly. So that was the first thing. Got something in my throat. The second thing is okay, so that was the first story with Kesha. The second one, I wish I found the article, but I found, I think I found something. Forgive me, I forget who this official's name is. I think his last name is Clegg, Clegg. I think he's a UK official of Facebook Meta AI. And let's talk about Facebook, and let's talk about Meta, because I don't know, I don't think Meta has really been in the loop as far as news and pop culture, but I'm not on Facebook at all. I haven't been on Facebook in a few years now, quite a few years. But I didn't know that they well, not recently, but a few years back, they had launched Meta as a type, especially in the wake of COVID. They were trying to have a more immersive remote work environment experience. So they introduced Meta. The launch, I think, was a failure. I think people were laughing at it. From what I had seen, like from what demos I had seen of the Meta work environment, I was kind of laughing myself. I'm like, this looks ridiculous. Don't expect don't expect people to be on board. And even virtual reality. Just a sidebar, one of my novels I wrote like 10 years ago, I have to revamp it. It's going to be more or less the same story, but it's got to be a different setting, because I thought by the time I would have published the sci-fi story or speculative novel that VR was going to be everywhere, but it's really not. It's still seen as kind of a novel or secondary experience. It's not the same thing as even going to the cinema. It's just not the same experience. People still use VR mostly. If you see it around on YouTube, you'll see it as like a gimmick. They're kind of like, oh man, where's my vertigo? I'm trying to like play violin, for instance, while having this VR headset, and so you'll see it around, but it did not take off as I thought it would 10 years ago. I'm like, I thought it was. I wanted to be, when I first went on Twitter, like many years ago, I wanted to be, right at the front of the virtual reality news and the augmented reality news. And it just, at least to me, it has not taken off. I mean, it certainly hasn't taken off like with other social media platforms and AI machine technology platforms. I mean, those things have taken off, but virtual reality has, at least in my book, has not taken off as I thought it would. And it probably won't ever. I don't think it will. It's just got this like not a cult following, but it's just I'm trying to think of the word. Not eclectic, but it's just, again, it's a secondary experience. Something you would choose to do on a whim, but not have it be your everyday experience, like something with like social media. But going back to Facebook Meta AI, so a couple of things with this one. So I'm out of the scene. I'm not with Facebook at all. No matter how much my husband wants me to be on Facebook, I'm like, sorry, that's just it's just never really. I was a late. I came into Facebook so late, like my senior year in college, and then sort of dabbled in it, and then I'm like, I went away. But anyway, Facebook AI, Meta AI. So, a couple things. So, an official in the UK, um, I think his last name is Clegg, and I can't find the article. So, you don't have an article. I'm sorry, I can't share anything. But maybe you've come across this. But I think he was a major, or he is still a major um, he's a major official in the AI industry. And he effectively told the world that it is very impractical to ask artists and writers and lawyers, like anyone, it's very, very impractical to ask people for permission to use their content, to use their art that is on things like Spotify or Amazon or whatever the case is, whatever your specialty is, whatever work, whatever like thesis you've worked on, professional thesis, whatever grant you've written, whatever music you've made, it is up for the article, but I can't find it for the life of me. Maybe that's due to AI not wanting me to find it again to criticize it. But he said that in order to, if we were, this is his words, if we were to ask everyone for permission to use their works, it would kill the AI industry. And so we don't, because it's impractical. And I'm thinking, well, so be it. Like if it doesn't aid the industry, if in fact if it hurts the industry, so be it. Like the right thing to do is to ask for permission. And I threw this idea out there a few weeks back, a couple months back when I was talking about AI for music. Like, why don't these startup music companies, why don't they pay for licensed works? Like, so composers who actively set up works, set up music, set up sound design to sell a license to sell someone a license to use for whatever they need. And this guy from Meta out of the UK, Meta AI, was saying, well, it would kill the industry. And his reasons for this are not just, but he mainly said was, what he mainly said was, our machines depend on billions and billions of pieces of data. So to ask for permission would be impossible or impractical for what we want to achieve. And I was using the example of I mean whether him or some other person they said, well, if we were to ask, what if they said no? I'm like, then you don't use their work. Oh, we asked, but they said no. It's like, okay, then they say no. And I think it's because here's how I see it. Here's my example I was about to give. It's like a kid going to the cookie jar to take a cookie without permission, and the mother coming in, catching him in the act, and the kid saying, well, if I asked you for a cookie, you'd have said no. And I think that's exactly how these people are operating. I think that's how the big tech companies are operating. I think, no, two things. I think they would know most people would not give permission unless incentivized. Maybe not at all. That's like, no, I don't want any machine learning my work, learning my style, learning my signature, learning my melodies. But maybe some people would, but with a cut, a cut of the cheese, whatever the phrase is, they would want some payment. They would want some spiff for however much the AI is using their stuff. And that's only fair. That is only fair. Because what the AI is doing is obliterating competition. Now, for me, I'm not so worried about competition or people not listening to my music. I'm still always going to be listening to my music. But the options now, the options before AI were endless, especially in the digital age. But now with the AI in motion, it's infinite. And people were saying, well, we just need to go ahead and scrape the music, scrape the writing, scrape the visual art, so our AI music or AI learning, machine learning technology can be very robust. And because that's what we need. We need billions of pieces of data. And we can't get the billions of pieces of data if artists and lawyers and technicians and all the people say no. It's like, well, then you got to find another route to take. You got to have a plan B because what you're doing is completely unethical. I mean, really, by every stretch of the imagination. So this guy at Meta AI said, "No, we couldn't. Not even we tried to ask permission. Maybe they did. I don't know. But he said we couldn't ask for permission. It would have been impossible to have the data, the amount of data we needed for this robust AI machine learning. That's the first thing with Meta AI. The second thing, as of last year, it might have changed, but as of last year, as of this time, like end of May of 2024, and it might still be the case, I don't know because I'm not on Facebook, but people would have to opt out of their content and their works being used by Meta AI. And the way you could do that you'd have to go to a separate website. There's no on or off button you can click. They would have to go to a separate page where you would fill out a form to request that that Facebook upholds your rights. Those are Facebook's words, your rights as an artist or someone, like whoever is saying, don't use my content, don't use my science, don't use my research, don't use my technical thesis, don't use any of this, don't use my essays. They would actually have to fill out a form. I don't know if that's the case today in 2025, but 2024, can you imagine realizing I don't want my stuff to be learned. I don't want my face, my image to be learned by a machine. And to opt out is not even, see, here's how I would have done it. The ethical way. I've mentioned this before. If I owned a major tech company that was procuring the advanced technology of AI, I would give the notice for everyone on my platform. I would say, hey, this is what we're doing. We have a new option for you to opt in. And then if you wanted to opt in to make your face known or your works known, you would actually have to actually click the opt-in option. But everyone, not just Facebook, all the music distributors, all the music platforms did the reverse. There was no opt-in option first. When the lawyers got involved, there was an update of terms of services saying, okay, you have the option of opting out, but you still have to manually, even in the digital age, you still have to manually opt out. You, like, by default, you're in. You have given every one of these companies your consent. And it's like, I would have done the opposite. Like, I think if the opposite, like I had just proposed, okay, guys, here's our new updated terms of service. Here's our new announcement on AI. If you want, feel free to opt in if you want to give your consent to have our machines learn off of your work and your speech and your face and all that. But you'd actually have to go to a separate thing where you'd have to click saying, "Yep, I give you my consent." I don't think people would have had so much of a problem. I don't think there would have been as much a backlash against all these companies if they had said, no, you click to opt in. Instead of, oh no, by default, you're already opted in. It's like, that's not good. You weren't asking for permission for something that I think a lot of people would say, hey, you gotta ask for my permission. So Facebook AI, Meta, that's the one thing, but that's a common example of just people saying, like, no, know what, like, at least, for whatever problems I have with YouTube, and they're minimal, I think YouTube at least said, hey, do you want to opt in to have our AI model learn off of your content? And I would leave it alone because I wasn't opt in and I would dismiss the notice. So unless they're doing something underhanded where I, unbeknownst to me, I'm giving them my consent. I haven't seen that with YouTube. But anyway, so that's been the shenanigans. Like, oh, it's so impractical, it's so impossible to ask for permission. It's like, okay, buy licensed works. No, it's too expensive. It's like at this point, many AI platforms are a multi-million, if not billion-dollar industry. So you can afford licensed content. Like some people wouldn't mind doing that as their job. Like, oh, let me compose for licensed music and get a good six-figure income for that. I can't imagine no one would want that. I think a lot of people would want that. Would I do that myself? I mean, I would try it, but I wouldn't plan on doing it myself. So that's the second shenanigan. So first it was with Kesha with her I, ironic use of using AI as a negative social commentary, but then she still gets backlash for using AI. And then we have this ordeal with Facebook officials and executives saying, "Well, no, we can't ask for permission. We're just gonna take it." So that's the second shenanigan. And then the third one was I was watching this late night show. It's a host with like a panel of four people. Really, it's the only. I'm kind of critical of some internal shenanigans. I don't watch news outlets, but I've been a fan of Greg Gutfeld for a long time, ever since he did Red Eye. And he has this new late night show. When it first started, it was stupid. His humor was so stupid, and it's gotten a lot better. And he has a lot of interesting guests that come on his show. Um, and I don't care for how Fox News handles different things, different reports and firings and stuff like that. I don't like that at all. So it's not like a perfect. I'm not wholly supportive of that, but Greg Gutfeld is someone I've followed for a long time. Um, and it, three, no, two of his four guests the other night were complaining that AI has just spewed story after story about these people, about things, about events involving them that have not happened. So like one of the girls, her name is Emily Campagno, she like her relatives would contact her say, "Oh, I didn't know you were at this event. Oh, I didn't know you were engaged to this person. I thought you were engaged to this man." And she says it's all lies. It's all AI making stuff up about real people. And relatives and close friends think something of her or another person that aren't true. And it's like, can we not understand the ethical ramifications of this? Maybe such fake stories are innocuous. Maybe they don't harm the character or the reputation of person A, for instance. But it sets a precedent. Like AI, someone can do something nefarious, take down a person's entire reputation, put their family on the line, put their income on the line, put their personal safety or the safety of their personal property on the line just because someone can make a false story about a given individual with and this the scary thing is it shapes, like we already had a problem with fake news, but with AI this is legitimate fake news and it can reshape a public's opinion about a person. I mean, we already have that problem even without AI. It's been a battle for many famous people, even pre AI days. But now that AI is, I would say has run amok, I would say this is really dangerous where people they don't even have the energy or the resources to contend with fake stories involving them. And they can be innocuous stories. Like, oh, this person's engaged to that person. Oh, they're getting a divorce or whatever. Like rumors are already hard to combat. Like local rumors, city rumors, rumors on the grapevine in your school or your church or whatever. Rumors even before have always spread like wildfire. Soon as you have a newspaper or like a social gathering, like you could really reshape public opinion against a person if you want, if you're clever enough. Now with AI, people don't even bother to check that it's AI. And that gives me such headache. Like, I'm so glad I'm not famous. I don't know if anyone young, like a little kid or some 16-year-old ever wants to be famous in this day and age because like it's almost inevitable that your life will be ruined just because someone thinks ill of you and then they'll post something that has no bearing, no foundation, no evidence, and people think, "Oh, that is that person," and then their lives are destroyed. So, thank you AI for making it already more difficult. Well, making more difficult what was already a difficult situation. So when people say, "Yeah, I can't combat it. I can't contend with it. It's just too much." And so you might just have to always publicly announce saying, "Guys, this isn't me. This is AI." Craig Gutfeld was like, he was there was AI images of him playing with a dog. He's like, "That's not me. That's not my dog." And then holding a baby. "That's not my child," And it's like, dang, that's scary. That sure is scary. So that's the third shenanigan. Or three of the three shenanigans that was like it is not a time to be famous. Like you don't want to be famous. Like yeah, I want my music to spread. I want my music to get more and more well known as my life progresses. Obviously, I want my stories to be read. Obviously, but I think there's no incentive. In fact, I think people could be easily disincentivized of ever being famous because of all the crazy unethical technology that is out there. All right. Let's get into the chat and then let's talk about how we can protect ourselves, how we can protect our art in particular. I think that's a very important thing to discuss. One second. Let me grab some water. I think I'm going to cough too. One second. Thank you. All right. Let's see what you guys have to say. Ace Mowick says, has anyone ever tried those AI friend apps and intentionally taught the AI to disobey and the like? I pondered that, but didn't want to pay for the app. I have no incentive in learning how that works. It the whole AI companionship is also really sad. I was like, you need to go to church. You need to go to a cafe. You need to maybe talk to some relatives. If you're feeling lonely, but gal, like no one should talk to an AI replica or whatever that is. Like go to a therapist. Well, a therapist costs money. It's like, well, maybe you need a therapist. Maybe it's worth the money. And there are a lot of people who are natural listeners. They have a natural ability to listen, to pray, to talk, and people just don't bother. And I blame COVID for that. Sorry, man, I have a little congestion. One second. All right. So yeah, don't seek companions with machines. I mean, like people have made the point that we don't even really scientifically we don't understand the conscious. We can understand brain and neurochemistry and brain matter and molecules and synapses and all those things. But we only understand scientifically the matter of the brain. but we really have a hard time understanding how the mind works and levels of conscious, the tiers, the conscious, the pre-conscious, the subconscious, and the unconscious. And with our limited understanding of the human ability to have a conscious, or conscience, yes, but the conscious, uh, we can't even begin to make the analog. Like we can't even we have no way of creating a comparison. Like, oh, the machines are sentient, or they could be sentient. It's like maybe you think they're sentient because they're behaving in things in ways that make you think they're sentient and make you think that they have an emotional intelligence, but it's not true. It's only in and out, like a switch on, switch off, just billions of times over. Amy L says that's why you need to keep notes. Articles aren't the worst. Videos are the worst. Worst. Some of these articles though, like they're like the general writing of articles have become pretty poor too. Sometimes articles don't give you enough. Like they'll give you like 2 paragraphs when you're expecting like, okay, I was expecting a more comprehensive article based on your title. Or some articles won't give you the direct answer, even though the headline will say this is what's so. I'm like, okay, can you tell me what's so and why that's so? And then they may not even tell you why, or they not even out of speculation. So I don't. Some articles are just horrible, but also search engines have become so diluted and corrupted and all that. Asa says, I think the fakeness of AI videos look like they were recorded on a potato. Yeah. I don't, I used to think that I would want my studio to have like nice studio lights, and I'm not totally against it now, but like this is probably the best it's going to be. Because it's more the information I give, not so much what my studio looks like. This is what you have. This is the physical space. There's no green screen or anything. This is the room you see. That is the physical room. All right. Crystal Ashley says, oh, you do you make the cover art for your albums. Did not know that. Yeah, I've been doing that for a while. I don't think, I know Canva is on the AI bandwagon, but and I could check if what they're using as images are AI based, but or yeah, I definitely, I think Azure, I think I just like Googled Azure and it just gave me like a block of blue, like with a little bit of gradient transition, like from dark blue to slightly lighter blue. And then I just added contrast and a little bit more saturation. And that's my album cover. It's pretty simple. Let's see. Crystal, what are you talking about, Ace? Are you talking about the robots? Crystal Ashes says, oh, the metaverse. I had completely forgotten about that one. Yeah, I mean, since I'm not on Facebook, I don't even think about it, but it's still around. Yeah. Or Crystal Ashes was saying that, yeah. Ace says, if it wasn't for networking and memes, I'd delete social media. We're going to talk about that because I've got some theories. I've got some ideas and suggestions. I think when I release another sci-fi story, maybe another music track, I might do a separate video on this for people. It's not really the best information or best advice. It's just advice I'm going to apply to my own experience as a music maker and writer. Amy L says, the thing is there are tools that are technically AI that you want to use, like erasers that know how to erase objects and autofill the background. Same situations with writing. Any software that knows where a sentence begins and ends has some amount of AI in it. Yeah, but the thing is, where people are having a problem with, and I'm among those people, is you're not using those minimal services to write the essay for you or write the novel for you. That's where the ethical line comes in. That's where you're Um, you cross a line when you cease to do the work yourself. So, like, okay, we've had spell checkers forever. And I mean, everyone knows this, but recently, the most recent spell checking and grammar services have been horrible because the machine is not understanding things like the colloquial or hyphenated adjectives or how words are spelled or how words are used in the natural way of speaking. I'm not saying prose should be completely how you and I talk, or the narrative should be, but that's what the machines are saying, like the Microsoft, they're saying like, oh yeah, well you wouldn't really say this in a formal way, would you? Like, I'm not trying to be formal. I'm not trying to be formal at all. So I ignore those suggestions. Well, not all of them. There some suggestions are pretty good to use, but this isn't spell check I'm talking about. This isn't, oh, you missed a period. Did you mean to put a comma here? It's like, no, that's, okay, you have the natural, and I'm not disregarding what you're saying, per se, Amy, but no, the ethics aren't in those precursors of AI machine learning. I would call that a precursor. Yeah, maybe I don't know how it works, the technical side of things, but the computer's ability to check your spelling or to do minimal proofreading is one thing. The machine's ability to write the essay for you and you put a stamp on it certifying it's yours and you turn it into the professor, that's a breach of ethics. That's a breach of trust. It's like, you're not a student. You're not my student who wrote the essay. I'm not going to call you a student anymore and I should fail you. I would love professors to take a stand and fail every single piece of body of work that was AI assisted. Again, I'm not talking about grammar and spell checks and stuff like that. We've had that since like the 1990s or whatever, maybe even earlier. I'm talking about like, hey, ChatGPT, this is my topic. You do the research and you write out 5 paragraphs with a thesis and stuff. My my Facebook friends think I made my wife up. Yeah. Yeah, technically people could say I'm married and then like put an AI generated spouse. It's weird. It's really weird. Promise tech that never materializes sounds like J. Stores Hall's book, Where is My Flying Car? Never read that book. Oh, J Star. J Star. J Star Hall. I had a professor and his last name was Star. Oh, Store. Sorry, Star. I had a professor whose last name was Star with 2 R's. Yeah, I wouldn't get Facebook now. Like I wasn't even keen on it before the whole AI nonsense and stuff, but like I'm definitely not incentivized to do it now. I actually want to deactivate my Twitter account. I'm not seen at all. Like I can heart something, I can follow people, I can retweet, no one sees it. And so I'm like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Like, don't you want to be certified? I'm like, no, because Twitter has AI. They have Grok or whatever. And I'm fine with, here's the thing, I'm fine with AI making funny stuff. Like, Professor was showing me a really funny skit. Apparently it's been circulating around, like, can 100 men take down a gorilla? And there was an AI video of this. It was basically Jeff Bridges, the dude from The Big Lebowski, but just in a gorilla form. And he's just talking, and the script was funny. We know it's AI, but it's a gimmick. It's not taking someone's, creative incentive or competition away. It's like, I'm fine with AI being a gimmick like that. When people obviously know it's like it's AI meant to be funny. But there's no heart and soul in it. And it's like, but it's a gimmick. Like it doesn't that kind of thing doesn't need so much heart and soul and expression. It's just funny. So I'm fine with like AI being used for trivial things. But yeah, it's the ethics, man. It's the ethics. Uh, so what are you talking about, Ace? You think he wrote a book about AI as well, or with AI? Because about and with are two very different things. Yeah. Oh, you remember this article too? Okay. I, it was like a few days old. It's like 4 days old, and I can't find it. Or if it looks phone friendly, it's not desktop friendly. It's strange. I feel like searching. Man, I'm so glad I'm not a college student for a number of reasons, but I think research is much harder these days. Like you really do have to go to the physical stacks, the library stacks. Crystal Ashes says if they don't have the resources and know how to ask all their users, or as if they don't have the resources and know how to ask all their users. Easy thing. If you're a big tech company, you have an infinite reach. You can reach anyone. You can announce it. Okay, so what if people dismiss it and say, I'm not interested? Then that's their way of saying, no, you can't have my stuff. Or maybe I'll look to it later. Just like an honest discussion, like we always had honest discussions with clients and customers. Like, oh, okay, we'll follow up. Just follow up. Follow up every 3 months or something, you know? It's easy. But no, they don't want to do that. Yeah, it's worth bringing up. Private Eye says, in other words, it's better to say sorry than ask for permission. You know what? They're not even saying sorry. They're just saying they did it and they don't care. That's a sad thing. That's a sad thing. That is what basically Deviant Art did back in the day. Yeah, I don't know how Deviant Art works, but I'm sure that platform, like with all the other, even on the cheap end, like the cheap end platforms, they're just all doing the same thing. Amy L says, translators also brought this up years ago before AI was a thing. No one listened to them. We should have listened to the translators, Amy L. We should have listened to them. Yeah. I'll say it again. I'm not worried about AI evolving to the man behind the machine I'm worried about. George Barrett says, trying to explain to him it will always require programming, even if chaos theory, capable of gazillion scenarios, it can never gain sentience. Still, he sent the link on Google's new AI phone at 3 a.m. What are you talking about? This is probably a new story I haven't heard of. Oh, to your phone at 3 a.m. Yeah. Very, very strange. Private Eye says they can't afford even keeping their own AI models alive most of the time. They are literally a second away from getting all the system fried and taking the electrical grid with them. That's the other. Okay, so we talk about the ethical issues, but then the energy issues. Like, where are all our environmentalists out there who cry out and rage against the use of energy? It's like AI is, I don't know if it's the top energy consumer, but it consumes a lot of energy. Like, we're talking like nuclear levels of power here that we need to sustain AI machine learning. Didn't Spain recently have a blackout? And I don't know if I don't think it had anything to do with AI. But again, it's not, okay, so there's no correlation there with that story. But like, we're already needing to reserve energy, you know, for the cities, for the countries, and all of that. And then AI is just fine with like total energy expensive consumption. And I'm not a tree hugger by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't like litter. And I don't prefer AI using so much of our energy where how much is being depleted at the expense of just keeping the AI up and running. Like, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know the figures for that, but I understand it's very costly in the way of energy. And we don't need that. We don't need that. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah. What was that group? Only time I watched Red Eye was when they had our fallen scumdog brother Odaris, yeah, as a guest. Yeah, I think that's probably one thing that made Red Eye pretty famous. Imaginaria says social media was already bad enough without AI. 110% agree. Sentinel, good to see you. Imagine you converted to Christianity and there are channels that use AI for scripture and apologetics. I fell for a couple C.S. Lewis channels. Oh man, I didn't even think about that. I didn't even consider that. See, even so, like, again, like people, well, like people will always harangue things like the Christian religion and say you lack there, and you're not good about this here and stuff. But again, everything is just going to be 1,000% worse, 1,000 times 1,000% worse, with the inundation of AI material. And I think people just need, okay, so I think people just need, some people don't care, whatever. That's their business not to care. But I think people just need to just be more hyper aware. Like, okay, this might be real. This might be AI. I don't want to have to disclose that all my stuff you see of me, this is real. I'm talking to you in a room, in a physical room, on a chair with a tattered armrest there, dresser there, microphone here. Like, everything's real. Everything that you see on the screen is a representation of what's actually in the physical space. I shouldn't have to disclose that, you know? I should not. It should be my right to not have to disclose my music is all me. You know? The melody, the bass, the harmony, the arrangement of instruments, the instruments themselves I modify. Like, yeah, they're stock plugins, or stock instruments or whatever. Well, some are from libraries, but I modify the instruments and I do all the arranging myself and the mixing myself and the mastering myself. Everything you hear, whether on your phone speakers or studio speakers, whatever the case is, that is all coming from my brain and hard work and my ears, my God-given Superman, superhuman sense of hearing. I do have good hearing. I hope that stays for a long time. I don't know how long that's gonna stay. So I shouldn't have to disclose that it's not AI. You know? I don't think people suspect it's AI though. But who knows? People might think, oh, that's AI. Okay, whatever. Crystal Ashes says, sorry, I don't have much interesting. Can I read interesting things to say about this topic? The whole AI thing has my brain numb. Yeah, I can't be too obsessed with it, you know? I have to think about it a little bit. I don't let it get in the way of making art or living life or whatever. But, you know, if it's such a ethical, moral thing, I'd like to bring it to attention again and again. Not all the time, not every week. I'm not going to keep talking about AI every week. This Joseph's Corner, welcome. I only just use AI for voiceover in a gaming video. Nobody watched it though. You know, you raise a good point, because I don't know if you guys get this. I don't have YouTube Premium, so I run ads. I kind of like running ads for channels that I support anyway. Like, oh yeah, get your money there, get your AdSense. So I don't mind commercials. Running two things that maybe I'm getting to be an old curmudgeon about this, but two things I do not really care for. The first is, like, we've gotten to a new age of digital infomercials. You know what I mean? Like, we're like, oh my gosh, this skincare, and then I thought I would not want this product, but I do, and it's like a vertical video, or like, you need to have your Mudwater coffee. Sorry, Mudwater, I tried you twice. I don't like you. You make me have to put so much sugar in your coffee or mushroom drink or whatever, just to make it drinkable. I'm gonna stick to my black coffee caffeine. But I'll get those commercials where it's the vertical setting, and we're so relying on the vertical setting, whatever. But it's more infomercial. Like, it's like, call this, you know, get to this website, call this, you know. That's the first thing. But then the second thing, I have been just because I read articles about AI, I get litters of ads that are obviously AI robotic voice generated. Even if it sounds like a British male or whatever, male speaker, it's not clipped. There's no natural clipping of the voice. There's no natural vocal fry, or you can hear the larynx just stretching and contracting, or vocal folds. That's what I meant to say. You can hear the natural voice, the natural human voice, with its imperfections and its nuance. And now people are just relying on using commercials for their ads. You make me want to just block all these commercials. Oh yeah, yes. Spell checkers are a different thing. Okay. I don't know. I don't know the technical thing that works. So spell checkers are not AI. They're not the precursor to AI. Yeah. Yeah, I don't. You can enlighten me on that. I know very little about how that technology has evolved over the last 30 to 40 years. Crystal Ashes says, oh, that's a common thing with spell checkers these days. I don't know. I could be wrong about that. That explains so much. I thought there was something wrong with my own settings. I don't, yeah. I'm not completely disregarding some of the suggestions, but like some grammar suggestions are like, no, this is fine. Especially for fiction writing. If you're, because a lot of, and you can change the settings. I just don't bother with it. 'Cause it's like, it's a learning curve that I don't want to just deal with. I just want to write. The Sentinel says Jesus' teachings about love, mercy, and valuing human life would absolutely be the moral foundation to prevent AI from becoming a threat to humanity. An AI guided by that would prioritize peace, protection, and compassion above all else. That's what ChatGPT told me when I asked if it's programmed with morality, and if not, it should be programmed with the morality from Jesus. That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm not scared of the machines themselves. I'll say that again and again. I'm not scared about the machines themselves. However they operate. It's the people behind the machines. It's the tech companies. It's Silicon Valley. You know, they're the culprits. They're the ones I want to fight. Not so much the actual technology itself. If Joseph's Corner says, I use Twitter all the time and yet no one engages with me. Twitter or X, but like I am a ghost on that platform. So I'm like, I don't have the incentive to get the steam rolling and get followers. I'm like, just you guys could just talk to me on YouTube or send me an email. The dude is the ultimate life form. Amy L confirms grammar checkers are a different thing. Those are AI, even if they're just statistical. Even ever since we stopped putting two spaces after periods, there's no way for a computer to know where sentences end. Oh, interesting. Oh, I did know about the two spaces between sentences, and I didn't know when we stopped. Do you know when we stopped that? Um, we must have stopped that a long time ago. Because I remember my mom, she wrote two short stories. One is great. I should share that story someday because it's really, really well written. Um, the protagonist is a female Cadillac that serves in, was it World War One or World War Two? The clergyman and the Cadillac. And so it was great. It's a wonderful, wonderful story. So good. But anyway, I think she, at least for one of her stories, she used the two spaces between periods, but I can't remember. The AI gives me Skynet and Terminator vibes. It doesn't me. It doesn't me. But I know some people have that same tendency to think. I don't mind tree hugger, says Ace, some tree huggers, until they start doing more than hugging. Have you ever been to like one of those like really hippie music festivals? I played in a bluegrass group when I was in Little Rock, and we had a performance like in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of woods in nowhere, and everyone's just like hanging rugs and blankets and just like dancing like this, even if there was no music happening. Yeah. George Barrett says, like near all the sentient AI advocates, I hear Sound Engraver. I wanted to whack my friend and with a, and you are my friend. Don't believe in God. I don't know. Don't know anything about that. Sorry, one sec. All right, you guys are looking like you're talking amongst yourselves. Amy L says every time a YouTube ad comes up, I turn down the volume knob. I don't know what the most of the ads sound like. Yeah, I mean if it's so close to skipping, I just let it run. Or if it's a good enough commercial and it's supporting a YouTuber that I like, then I'll have it run the whole length. Some are good. All right. Let me grab some more water here. All right, so let's I think I made it to the end of the chat momentarily. Let's talk about what we can do to protect our art. And I think this would be worth it making a separate video for another time. But I have a few ideas. I think 3 ideas. What were those ideas? Shoot, I lost my train of thought. Maybe I won't go in order. I have at least a couple ideas in my head, so I'll just share those. So I'm going to use more music examples, but I really think the same is true for all art platforms and services. So the first thing I think, this would not be a popular, not even a marketable suggestion. This is just coming from me saying, okay, you can see me, you can see Sound Engraver on YouTube and on my website and with my email. I think in the way of social media, I think that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so what's one thing you can do to prevent AI from what they call scraping your stuff? You know, stealing your stuff. Well, I mean, it's a hard bargain because the way you get known is through the online space. But there's ways I think you can mitigate, maybe not wholly prevent the AI machines from taking your stuff, but as far as music, and just take my examples of music and see if you can compare it to the art and the writing space. I think with Amazon, I think that's just going to be a hard, like with writing, I think unless there's a major change in the AI industry and also Amazon and the writing industry, I can't see the same thing I can see for art and music. So let's talk about art and music first, and then maybe if you guys have some good ingenious ideas with writing, I'm all for it. So a few ways you can protect your art. Again, take my advice with a grain of salt. The first thing is I would absolutely remove your art and your music from all the distributors and the services. I can't speak for things like Fiverr or whatever, but whatever. Get your music off of the music distributors, and thus get your music that it corresponds or correlates to getting your music off things like Spotify or Apple Music or even Amazon Music. I don't think I'm on Amazon Music anymore. And get yourself a website. So there's 2 things about that. The first is I have not seen, tell me if there's a music platform out there, but I have not seen a music platform or a music distributor that does not automatically opt you in to give your consent to have the AI machine learn your music. Like it was in every single example I'm seeing, it's in the terms of service, or it's not an updated terms of service. And basically you're saying, by agreeing to these terms of service, you give your consent to third-party players. Now, I already knew that back when I was on places like SoundCloud or DistroKid or whatever. I already knew about the whole third-party thing, but that was way before I knew anything about the AI. Like, okay, third-party. Okay, so if someone on YouTube hears my music and they want to talk about my music, like that, I was kind of thinking about that. It wasn't the most ideal thing, but it wasn't also really, really sketchy. But basically, every single platform I've heard, you're automatically opting in. Like, it's in the terms of service until the lawyers say, fix this. Sometimes it takes a week to fix the service or the updated terms of service, maybe a month, maybe even a year. But companies all across the map are having you opt in to give your consent to say, we can use your music, to have our AI machines learn off of your music, to prioritize monetizing off of your music without giving you a cut, without giving you any pay for it. I have not seen an example. If you know an example, put in the chat. So that tells me to just get out of the way. Remove all my music, no distributor, no music, no matter how good the deal looks, no music distributor, no major music distributor, and no indie music distributor. Even if they're like, oh yeah, we're for artists, it's like, no, I don't trust any of you. You're not having my music. So what do? I do use YouTube. I'm still iffy about YouTube, but so far I haven't seen the headaches that I with YouTube that I've seen with like music distributors and music streaming platforms like Spotify. So get your music off, get your art off these platforms, because most of them, at least with music, is having you opt in by default without your knowledge. Without your knowledge. Until a lawyer on YouTube who has a good strong following brings it up and they're like, "Oh, yeah, we'll have you choose to opt in." But they won't fix the terms of service until like a week or a month after the fact. So it's like, should have been your first thing you should have done with this AI stuff. So what do I do as an alternative? Well, I have a website. I have Bandzoogle. I haven't seen anything, and I should actually probably check. Bandzoogle is a service. It's a strictly music artist website service that I've been pretty happy with. I'll check. I'll see. Maybe I should check their. Now that I think about it, maybe I should check their terms of service too. But here's the thing. You might not have a lot of optionality. You might not have a lot of options on how to keep your music safe or how to keep your art safe. But at least in the way of having your own website, you can direct people to your website. It's not, your music is not, or your art is not as known because you have to direct someone to another website or web page. Whereas with music all encompassing. I'm not saying my music is completely protected just because it's on a website. It's just that there's not much traffic there anyway, so there's not much incentive to scrape. At least that's how my brain's working. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe they're like, they covered the whole gamut, sound engraver. You're toast. They got your music. And I'm like, maybe that's true. But at least keep it very local. Keep your art very local. Keep your music very local on your own website. Get off all social media. Get off all art and music platforms and services that destroy your trust and say you gave your consent without giving your consent. I haven't seen that with Bandzoogle. I'll check it out, maybe even after streaming this, now that I think about it. But I haven't seen any indications. I haven't seen any red flags. And even so, it's the best option yet. So get your stuff. That's the first thing. Get your stuff off these horrible, corrupt services, and who have become more corrupt because of AI machine learning technology. That's the first thing. Oh, and have your website. So it's kind of like a two-parter. Get your stuff out of there so you can put your stuff on your own website that you can direct people toward, even if the traffic is very low. You don't have to have a lot of traffic on your website. Just have a website. So that's the first thing. You can check out my website at soundengraver.com. You can email me there. You can buy my music. You can even listen to my music for free there. So there you have it. And I think my website uses the WAV files. I don't think it's compressed. I think it's the same high fidelity WAV file. So website, YouTube. So far, I trust them more than the other platforms and services. The next thing is something that is emerging, something that is very, I would say, relatively new. And it's not in any applicable format right now. It's not in the form of an app or a website or a web page you can use. And that is, what do they call it? Basically, any counter technology that confuses the AI or thwarts the AI or possibly degrades the quality of the AI machine learning. And it's basically what engineers and music artists who are trying to fight. They're trying to combat the AI, the rise of AI. They're trying to protect their music. And so people out of Knoxville, Tennessee, there have been technicians, there have been engineers, there have been music professors, I think, they're trying to develop a technology that basically poisons the well. So what it means is you would have your original track put through a poisoned, an audio poisoning file, where we would not hear the difference because of our limited hearing, but the AI would pick up the differences. And it hasn't been put through an app. It hasn't put through a website. I think what are they called? Ben Jordan. He's a music YouTuber. I don't really follow him, but he's fairly famous in the YouTube sphere. He's a composer and a musician, but he's really put his time and attention to this program where he calls it what does he call it? Poisonify, like Spotify, but for poisoning your tracks with poisonous well water, so the AI will have a very much difficult time interpreting what your music is actually really saying. So it doesn't affect your hearing the music. It doesn't affect the fidelity of what you can hear off of an audio track. But he's either teaming up or he's collaborating with a team out of Knoxville, engineers out of Knoxville, and they're developing this program called Harmony Cloak. It's still in the infant stages. Like it's not even beta. It's not even ready to be produced. I'll be honest, guys, I feel like there's something I can do in SuperCollider. Like, I was like, can I do that in SuperCollider? Can I find a way? Now people are like, there's no point. Like AI is going to overcome. They're going to see you trying to poison it, and they're still going to be able to interpret. And you know what? Could be, but it is worth pursuing. Now, I don't like fighting dirty, guys. I really don't. I don't mind fighting. I don't mind creating some conflict and tension. I don't like fighting dirty. If I have to fight, I want it to be a fair fight. So what does that mean? Like, if I could, through SuperCollider, for instance, this is such a hypothetical. I can't even believe I'm saying this in public because I'm just thinking of this stuff. I don't even know if it's practical in SuperCollider. However, it could be practical in other means. But, poisoning the well, like, okay, what if you had a counter technology that would not only have the AI, the inability to interpret your art, your music, but also degrade the quality of the AI machine learning experience? Meaning it's poisoning the AI. This is all hypothetical right now. I don't even think it's real. First of all, for me, I would just say, hands off my stuff. Get off my property. Like, AI, no. You think you're hearing a synthwave track that I produce, but really you're hearing blues. Take my blues music. That'd be awesome. And I think Harmony Cloak is a program that they're trying to develop and getting into the main stages where they are combating AI. Now people are arguing, they're like, it's a lost cause, don't bother pursuing it. I'll pursue it. I want all the options, guys. I want all the options. But Poisonify, I think that's how you pronounce it, by Ben Jordan, I think he wants to poison the well. Meaning, not only can the AI not interpret his music, but it will degrade the quality of the machine learning. And if it actually destroys, like hypothetically, if it destroyed the machine, if it destroyed that model, part of me is like, I don't want to fight dirty. But part of me is like, you didn't ask for my consent. You did not approach this in an ethical way. Therefore, I'm not going to fight in an ethical way. If you trying to scrape my music actually causes a devolving of your own machine learning technology, so be it. You had it coming. And the thing is, it's so sad. Like, and maybe I shouldn't mention as much in public on YouTube, but like, if it even became law where such a counter technology was banned, that's not an ethical law. That's not a good law. Like if it became statewide or nationwide, if the government said none of this poisoning the well technology, I'm sorry. Like the AI took our stuff. All we're trying to do is protect it from getting stolen from getting it. We don't want to be taken advantage of if we're not giving our consent. So This is in the making. I think there were some platforms for the art world that people are saying is not working very well. Even if Harmony Cloak does not work, or if Ben Jordan's Poisonify project doesn't work, let's say the AI trumps all those counter technology programs, it's still worth pursuing. Like even if it's like an age-long battle, even if it takes 10 years or 20 years to finally, or to render the AI obsolete. Maybe some AI technology will be obsolete. Who knows? People say no, it'll never be obsolete. I'm like, I'm not sure about that. I'm really not sure about that. But I don't mind this fighting dirty, poisoning the well tactic if it protects people's art or any work, any thesis out there, any grant out there, any something that betters society, some document that betters society, that betters the well-being of mankind. It could be art, it could be science, it could be anything. I don't like I'm being honest, guys. I don't want to fight dirty, but like they started it. Mom, they started it first. I was not my fault. Now, honestly, I just want to protect my music. I just want to protect my writing. I don't have to yeah, let's poison this AI technology. I don't honestly, I don't have, I don't need that for myself. I just want my music to be safe and protected. But people are engineers and technicians out there and programmers out there. They're really trying to combat this AI thievery, and I applaud them. Like, don't hurt anyone, but if you hurt the machine, that's okay. The machine isn't going to feel the pain as people are going to feel the pain. So don't hurt the machine, or don't hurt people in the like do it at all costs. I'm like, well, no, there's measures, but of course, yeah. So fighting dirty. So that's the other thing I'm suggesting is if a program out there, if there's an application or website out there that you can run your audio tracks through that would inhibit, if not prohibit, the AI from interpreting each track frame by frame. And then like my synthwave track, for instance, comes into like a blues track. I'm like, awesome, let's do it. And if there's laws against that, I'm sorry. I'm gonna keep doing it because it wouldn't be a good law. It would not be an upright law. It'd be an unjust law, and I don't follow unjust laws. So anyway, that's what I have to say. Let's see what you guys have to say. One sec. Yeah. Idea number one, always use pens and paper. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. So that's one reason why I want to go physical with the music. You know, I would like to do it by at least one CD by this year, but even if I don't make it this year, even if I don't go into the CD world or the physical media world this year, it's happening. Like my music will be sold as CDs. Um, so I think that's what you were saying. Maybe that was one of the, so I had two suggestions, and maybe that was one of the suggestions. It's like, yeah, get off the corrupted platforms, get a website, and sell CDs or sell physical copies or physical paintings or physical sketches of your stuff. Yeah, good. Thank you for saying that, Private Eye. All right, Amiel says, yeah, I let some of the short ones run. I actually don't mind the longer ones run at the end. Oh, the ads, like some 4-minute ones, but 30-minute ads aren't ads. Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth to what you say. Yep. Poison Pilling says, Secret? Is that how you spell your name? Poison Pilling music files. Have you heard about that? Yeah, so I think that's what we're talking about with the poisoning the well, poison pilling. And as long as it doesn't break the high fidelity of the WAV file, I'm all for it. Yeah, I'm all for it. Now, if it corrupts the audio file, then that's you gotta go to Plan B. So, Ghost Plan is mentioning advanced robotics in these cartoon shows that were illustrating the dangers of AI becoming independent of its creators, using clips of different shows involving robots and AI rebelling. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Amy says, can an audio be poisoned though? I have a feeling you can't. I have a feeling you can. And it has to do, if you want to go a little scientific, it has to do with putting in things that are not perceptible to the human hearing. So you do have a limit. Well, you have a boundary. You have things below 20 hertz and you have things above 20 kilohertz. And I kind of want, part of me, I'm taking lessons from Eli Fieldsteel, and part of me wants to actually propose something and send it his way saying, hey, I have this in mind for SuperCollider to do this for AI. I don't know if it's practical, to be honest. Like, I have some methods in my head. Like, can this happen? Can I do this with SuperCollider? But it would be a long research learning curve for me in the way of SuperCollider. But, and again, like I said, engineers are it's not even in the beta stages yet. I don't think it's in the applicable stages yet. And people say, well, if it's not applicable now, AI is just going to usurp it instantaneously. It's like, you don't know that. We can't even comprehend the super brain of AI. Like, people are developing this AI stuff, the AI technology and the machine model learning. They're admitting that they can't comprehend everything. It's like, so if people behind the scenes are admitting like we don't, like, we've developed this Frankenstein that we don't understand, it's like, or the monster we don't understand, then there is that chance, there is that hope that there can be some counter technology. Wolf10, good to see you. Haven't seen you in a long time. I hope you are doing well. Anyway, we need to step out for 15 or 20 minutes. It was about 15 or 20 minutes ago. Yes, Amy, there's a video about Ben Jordan. Yeah, Ben Jordan is the guy that I mentioned. Yeah, he's pretty much at the front lines of it, but there are other people too. I just hope I don't have to do it through SuperCollider if people like Ben Jordan can do it. It's just it's a matter of when, not if. Private Eye says, Mom had a group with her friends back in the 80s. Recently, she found their music on YouTube. Oh, knew a group. No idea who uploaded. She didn't mind. It was a long time ago, but still. Oh, uploaded it of her in a group? That's kind of trippy. That is trippy. Crystal Ashes says, if you wish to sign up for our services, you must first give us a portion of your soul and blood sample. Don't ask questions, just do it. It's not far from the truth. That's good to know, says Amiel. You gotta have a really fast computer to poison your music, though. No? My computer isn't even that fast to poison my drawings. I don't know. You might raise a good problem there. I don't know how costly it is. My understanding is that the file is already done. It's already to send out there for people to have. On the one hand, I don't like polluting my music. Like, oh, but it's like, if you can't hear it and if it protects your music, then there you go. Yes, Secret says, but this advice is really impractical, not unpractical. It may be. I think about these things though. Like, it could be like, who knows? Like the whole thing with Ben Jordan, the whole thing with Knoxville, Tennessee, the whole thing with some of the art side, programs, they might fail. It may be a bust. I don't know, but it's worth pursuing. It's at least worth getting the idea out there and beat the unethical system. So even if I'm completely wrong and completely impractical, I'm just thinking. I'm being very honest with my sharing these ideas with you. But what if the machine can feel like Mega Man? Nah, not like Mega Man. Saying sound. Let's put this up. Like in the Legend of John Henry, we will fight the machine to the death, achieve martyrdom, and be canonized. Saint Sound Engraver. Maybe. Good. AI programmers, lol. We have no idea what we're doing. Yeah. If there's any chance that people who are developing this part of the technology don't understand, don't comprehend the abilities and inabilities like across the gamut, right? Like if there are some possibilities out there that they can't comprehend, then I can imagine there's some possibilities where we can counter it. It might take on a different form from pill poisoning the audio files or the art files, but it's a start. It's a start. Anyway, I think I guess we will end it there. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. I love talking about AI, even though I don't like AI. We'll talk about something else next time. But my track, Azure, is available for you. If you want to join the mailing list, you can get that for free. Or just spend $1 or a little more donation if you want to support an artist. And I think we'll end it there. Thank you guys so much for a nice time. And I will catch you later.